What is up guys, it's Weebrow, and today we are going to do my top 10 manga series of all time. It was very difficult making this list, but I just decided to not overthink it, just kind of make a list of what are my top 10 right now, and if it changes later, it changes later. I'll make a new list. You know, I have a lot of stuff that I haven't finished reading yet, so naturally it's going to change as I continue to read more manga. Nevertheless, these are series that I think are just solid, great, and have very few flaws, and do things in ways that other series just simply don't do. And of course, these are just series that I personally love for whatever reason, you know, whether it's just my own taste, how it relates to my own life. So if it's not something that you can agree with, don't stress out over it. But if you want to go ahead and roast me for my horrible taste, go ahead and do it in the comments. I don't mind, and I love a good debate. Also, sorry if I'm whispering right now. I just woke up and I'm a little bit tired, and I don't have a lot of time to record these videos, so I have to do it now. So anyways guys, let's get started on the list. Okay guys, let us start off with number 10, Arakawa Under the Bridge. Arakawa Under the Bridge is a surreal comedy romance written and illustrated by Hikaru Nakamura. The story essentially centers around a character named Ko Ichinomiya, who is a successful corporate hotshot that was raised by his father to never get into debt or to owe anyone anything. And through a turn of events, he finds himself owing his life to a girl named Nino, who saved him from drowning after falling off the side of a bridge. Now immediately this already sounds like a great drama, right? But in reality it's really wacky, because that girl Nino is a homeless girl who lives under the bridge with a community of other homeless people, but she believes she is from the planet Venus. And as you can imagine, after his life was saved, he is just desperate to repay her and is asking her, please tell me how I can repay you. I can buy you a house, I can buy you this. And basically what she asks of him is to help her fall in love, because she wants to know what it is like. And of course, he is someone who is absolutely a man of his word and will repay someone no matter what, is set out to do this. You meet so many different eccentric characters living under that bridge, and it is just a fantastic comedy. I feel like there are very rarely any weak points. Like, I'm a huge fan of comedy. There's stuff like Nichijou that has strong comedy, but there are a lot of weak points in it. And with Arakawa Under the Bridge, it seems like it's just flawless in a lot of ways. And there's also a very comforting feeling to this, where it kind of just sets you in this scenario where you just wish that you were in it. Like, they are living it under the bridge. And since, like, at one point the main character, since he's super rich, he is forced to live with her under the bridge in that community. So he basically pays to have this house built like right under the bridge, you know, elevated I don't know how many feet high up in the air. And it just seems like so much fun, and the characters that you run into are just absolutely hilarious. You know, I never played Animal Crossing, but it kind of gives me the same vibe of like you're living in this village and you're running into these like really eccentric characters, and it's just a lot of fun. All the characters are lovable, and the romance part of it is just fantastic as well, because they're two completely different people, and watching those two people fall in love, which is a classic thing in romance, watching these two people fall in love is so satisfying, and it's just a joy to read. I highly recommend it. Arakawa Under the Bridge. All right, next up we are gonna go with number 9, Ace of Diamond. Ace of Diamond is a sports baseball manga written by Yuji Terajima that centers around a pitcher named Eijun Sawamura. So the story starts off he's in middle school and he's having a baseball game, and he's in an awful team, and there's a recruiter who is watching him, which is, you know, typical in a lot of sports all around the world. There are recruiters that are trying to spot hidden talent in random rural areas and stuff like that. Now Sawamura ends up getting recruited by this recruiter, not because of his pitching performance, but because at the end Sawamura and his team are shaking hands with the winning team, and the winning team is mocking them, and they're laughing at him for crying because he lost, right? And Sawamura ends up attacking the other team, and it was through his attack that the recruiter ends up seeing potentially a powerful pitch in him. And essentially it just takes off from there. And this is a fantastic series, guys. I will probably do an entire review of it later on in the future. I don't want to go too deep into this, but it's just, it'll make you fall in love with baseball. You know, I grew up with sports. I was in hockey as well as wrestling in high school. It really speaks to all sports, you know, which sports mangas tend to do, you know, the dynamic between the team and the ace, and it really is just, it's really fantastic, and it just makes you fall in love with baseball. I can't recommend it enough. Even if you're not into sports or anything, I would say give it a try. There's an anime out, and the anime is great. I rewatched the anime like 4 times already. For me personally, it was great, and I think you guys would really enjoy it. Okay, number 8, One Punch Man. This one has to be in here. I mean, it is such an incredible manga. One Punch Man is an action superhero comedy written by One and illustrated by the great Yusuke Murata. It revolves around a character named Saitama, who is a superhero that can defeat any enemy with one punch. What I love about this series is that it basically just kind of rolls with the idea what would happen if the character was just no one can defeat him, right? You know, it's very self-aware, and it just creates this comedy that's just great, yet it doesn't tire you out. Despite the fact that he's incredibly powerful, it's still so entertaining and so hilarious, and the art by Murata is just fantastic. There's just no other artist like him. He's such a great artist, one of my favorite artists of all time, and I just can't recommend this one enough. This one has to go on the list. I mean, it's just great. Definitely check it out if you're into action and comedy. Okay, now let us get to number 7, Demon Slayer. A lot of you are going to hate this, and a lot of you are going to be like, yeah. Nevertheless, this is just my opinion. Demon Slayer is a dark fantasy adventure written by Koyoharu Gotoge. It centers around a young boy named Tanjiro who becomes a demon slayer after his entire family is slaughtered by man-eating demons. Now, this is putting it very lightly. It is a bit historical. It's set in, I forget what period in Japan, but the difference is that there's man-eating demons that are infesting and terrorizing the world. And this is a dark series. I love it so much. It's got great action, and the power system is pretty cool. There's a lot of unique stuff in it. But for me personally, what I love about this series is basically the characters, the backstories, and just how poetic it is a lot of the times. It's very emotional. It's not necessarily a seinen, yet it's still very dark. Like, there are kids getting eaten and stuff, right? But it's fantastic. It's I can't tell you how many times I cried in this series. You know, a lot of people, if this just doesn't connect with you on an emotional level, you're not gonna like it. If you're going into this looking for some type of awesome action anime, you're gonna hate it, you know. But Demon Slayer is, you know, one of the very few mangas and animes that are just kind of, that I understand it's probably not a perfect one, but it touches my soul in such a way that it's easily one of my most favorite of all time, and it will always have a place in my heart. It's a beautiful story. I highly recommend it. Definitely check it out, Demon Slayer. This next one is going to be a little bit complicated because there are multiple parts to it, and yes, you guessed it, it is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like I mentioned, it's multiple parts, so it's a little bit hard to kind of rank this because not all parts are made equal. But nevertheless, it's such a unique manga series, I had to put it up here. I only just recently read it, and I was completely blown away by it. It is a series that has just been hyped up for me, and it exceeded my expectations, and there would just be no way for me to conceive what this manga would have in store. It's that unique. But yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a supernatural adventure series written by the great Hirohiko Araki. It essentially follows the adventures of a specific bloodline, the Joestars. Now, like I mentioned, there's multiple parts to this, and each part is so different and unique that it's really hard to kind of give an explanation to it. But it's really a fantastic series. The art is just, it is amazingly beautiful. Some of the best art that I have ever seen. I mean, just every page just felt so beautiful. It looked like engravings, you know. It's incredible. It's so hard to describe, but it's such a magical series. It feels like you're peering into somebody's dreams, like this is written by an alien or something, yet it's still so beautiful and human in such a manner that is just, I don't know. The way the characters are drawn, they're masculine yet feminine, and they have such awesome, you know, the clothing design is just great and unique. You know, the manga, he's very big in fashion and it really shines through his manga. It is such a joy to read. The first part is a little bit rough in the beginning, but it's a huge payoff if you just continue and give it a chance. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You know, if you're tired of the same old different thing and you want something unique, definitely check out JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It will not disappoint, I promise you. Alright, this next series is a pretty famous one, and it is called Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is an action, dark fantasy mixed with a little bit of military in it, written by the mangaka Hajime Isayama. The story is set in a medieval-like world where mankind finds themselves trying to survive the attack of man-eating giants. And without spoiling too much, the main character, Eren Yeager, sets out to destroy all these giants in an act of vengeance. This is an incredible series. I mean, you know, your main impression of it may be this is just another violent series, it's just gory, but it really isn't. I hate those type of series where it's just like being gory and shocking for the sake of being gory and shocking, but this is just truly, it just does not come off that way at all, and it's such an incredible story. I've never been so intrigued with mystery in a series before. The way it was with Attack on Titan, just waiting for all these chapters to come out, I was just, you know, was just so fascinated by what could be the answer behind some of these mysteries. And there's just so many incredible things about this series that is just, you know, it truly is a masterpiece in my opinion. It's freaking awesome. It's got a lot of great characters that you just will fall in love with, and it'll keep you engaged the entire time. I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't already. Attack on Titan. Alright, number 4 is a series you may have already heard me talk about, and that is KG. I mean, what an incredible series, guys. KG is a gambling suspense seinen manga written by Nobuyuki Fukumoto. The story is centered around a character named Keiji Ito who miserably lives a life of financial hardship. And one day, he's visited by a debt collector where he discovers that he has inherited essentially an unwanted debt that he now has to pay back. You know, but it's not entirely hopeless for him because the debt collector tells him, hey, come to this cruise ship and have the opportunity to pay off that debt quickly. But the catch is they have to gamble it. And without spoiling too much, of course, he goes there and a ton of crazy, insane, hellish things happen. And it is just a crazy story. It really goes into the world of finance, whether it's the corporate world, whether it's loans, banks, stocks, etc. And it dives into the negative aspects of it, the psychology, a side that we don't really explore in manga and anime. Let me tell you, it is just done so beautifully and so amazingly. You know, it's such an underdog story, and it's something that I can really relate to as an adult. You know, some of these struggles that Keiji goes through is something that I think, you know, a lot of men especially kind of suffered through. It is such a fantastic, suspenseful thriller. It's incredible. I highly recommend it, guys. Don't be put off by the art. It's a distinct style, I know, but trust me, it's once you start reading, you will not want it any other art style. It's such a great series. I love it so much. Check it out, KG. All right, this next one, most of you are probably gonna have already heard of, but it has to go up here. And personally, it has to be this high, and that is Death Note. Death Note is a mystery, a psychological thriller written by Tsugumi Oba, but illustrated by Takeshi Obata, a very famous duo. And it follows a genius high school student named Light Yagami, who one day is, you know, staring out the window during class when suddenly he notices a book falling from the sky. And after getting his hands on the book, he discovers that it is in fact a notebook titled Death Note, which in fact belonged to a Shinigami, aka a god of death, and that grants the user the ability to kill anyone whose name is written inside of that book. I mean, talk about one of the most powerful openings of all time in a manga. It is incredible. Just, you know, the writer truly is a fictional genius. This is such a great story, and it's something that I come back to and am still able to enjoy. There's a reason why this is probably hailed as one of the greatest manga and animes of all time, and it is just a fantastic ride. I cannot recommend it enough. You know, there's supernatural elements as well as mystery and just kind of detective work and the battle of wits, and just, it's an incredible ride, guys. I definitely recommend it. Check it out if you haven't already. If you're new to manga and anime, I definitely recommend this one out of all of these. Okay, this next series is one that I read only a couple months ago, but it is a fantastic series. I read through it in one sitting. It is called Goodnight Punpun. Goodnight Punpun is a coming-of-age drama / slice-of-life manga written by Inio Asano. In short, the story follows a young boy named Onodera Punpun and the different stages of his life living in Japan. You know, and that is putting it very simply, because this series is very, very dark, and it touches upon a lot of aspects of real life that is not really explored in manga, because it's uncomfortable and it is depressing. But I think it is necessary to talk about these things, and to be honest with you, it is difficult to talk about these things, and I think Inio Asano does such a great job in creating a story that is able to communicate these things and kind of bring light to these things in such a manner that it is moving and somewhat tasteful. Because, you know, there are a lot of mangas that will talk about very depressing things, but it doesn't really come off great, I guess, and it just makes people not want to read it, essentially. But Goodnight Punpun does a great job at making it moving while still keeping things as raw as possible. It may center around that one character, Punpun, but it is in fact just rich with characters that bear these qualities and situations in their life that you may find relating to, whether you relate to them or you may know someone who relates to them. You know, it's very, very raw, and what can I say about Inio Asano and his art style? It is just so incredible and such a fantastic joy to read. You know, I tend to cry a lot in these types of mangas and anime and stories, but Goodnight Punpun hit on such a level that I think a lot of people can relate to that have read this, that it still has not really hit me yet. It's only been several months, and I don't know what it is. It is just great. I mean, Inio Asano is easily my favorite mangaka of all time. Definitely check out Goodnight Punpun. All right, this next one is one that I'm sure many of you have heard of as of recently, and it is one that has been #1 for a long time and will probably stay #1 for a long time, and that is Berserk. Berserk is a dark fantasy written by the mangaka, the very late and great mangaka Kentaro Miura. To put it simply, Berserk is an epic about a mercenary named Guts who is set out on a quest to seek vengeance upon a man named Griffith. And of course I say put simply because really it's just so much more complex and so much more rich than that it's very hard to put into words unless you read it. You know, very few series have this quality that you just feel like it was given to them by something else from another dimension or something. You know, like Tolkien is such a good one, Philip K. Dick, you know, these are writers that just give you something that just feels like out of this world. Berserk is definitely one that is like that, for sure. There's just something so magical about it, and it's incredible. It's so rich. The setting is just so rich. I mean, you go on YouTube right now and you'll find tons of different video theories. It's just fantastic. The artwork is incredible. Miura cites Gustave Doré as one of his inspirations, and you can really see it. Gustave Doré is an old wood engraver from back in the day, and he's easily one of my favorite artists of all time. And Miura really just does such a great job of, you know, doing art style like that. It's just incredible. And it's such a bummer because, you know, he never finished it, and as you guys know, he passed away recently, and it's just it's definitely worth the read, even if there's no ending at the moment, or likely that there ever will be. I just don't want to talk about it too much. I don't want to spoil it for you guys too much, but yeah, it's an incredible story. And you know, I read that story in such a dark moment of my life, and I think we all have this, you know, some of us who are born into these harsh situations, you know, can just really feel a lot of the emotion that Guts goes through, you know, and we can just feel his rage, and it's just awesome seeing him persevere in such a world that is so cruel and so dark. It's just so poetic in that way. It's just, no series has done it like that. I mean, Attack on Titan has that quality as well, of just like this like burning rage that you can just, it ignites the emotion in you, you know, when Eren gets so like amped up. But nothing does it like Berserk, and there's a reason why this is hailed as one of the best, if not the best, manga series of all time. Definitely check it out, guys, Berserk. Oh, and let me say this, there is an anime and a reboot as well as some movies, and I say just please just ignore all of those. Just trust me, I am more of an anime guy than a manga guy. Berserk is 100%, you have to experience it in the manga. Read the scans online. I read the scans online. It's not a big deal, trust me. It's worth it. Definitely check it out. Anyways, guys, that is my top 10 manga series of all time. Like I mentioned before, it's subject to change, but as of now, these are my top 10, and I think it's going to be hard to dethrone a lot of these. These are solid series that just have very few flaws. And, you know, of course, I have my own tastes, and that is going to play a big part in this. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I left out that I felt just kind of really awful leaving it back, but I just had to really make it my own, you know. And I'm not afraid to put series like Death Note up here, you know, because it's just good, you know. And you know, it doesn't matter if it's basic or it's entry level, you know. It is what it is. It's one of the best series that I've read of all time. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know what you guys think of my list, if my taste is trash, or if you think one shouldn't be here at all, you know. Let me know what you think, and if there's any series that you recommend, let me know as well too. I will be doing a top 10 anime soon. If you guys want to see that, it's definitely going to be different. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments below, and I'll get to making that. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, definitely subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.